Chris here, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my February book haul. So this is a smaller book haul than I had in January, but we've still got around 30 books to get through, so let's dive in. First up, I'm going to mention my ebooks like I do in every video. Again, not as many as I've had in past videos. First up, I got Positively Secretive and Positively Swindled. These are books 3 and 4 in the Witch of Edgehill series. This is a cozy mystery series where I read the first 2 books and absolutely adored them. I remember flying through them. And I waited until I got some credits from Amazon and snagged books 3 and 4. This has a magical edge to it, so it's a cozy mystery with a fantastical twist. I've really loved this series. I wanted to continue on with it, and so now I have books 3 and 4, and hopefully we'll get to them at some point soon. Then I got Roses and Revenge. This was on sale, and it's book 4 in the Port Danby mystery series. I've read the first book in this series and enjoyed it and wanted to continue on, and since I had to buy them to do so, when I saw this one was on sale, I figured I'd snag it. In that same vein, also by London Lovett, I got Chocolate Festival Felony, which is the 16th book in the Firefly Junction series. This is a different series by London Lovett. I really loved this one, and again, it was one of those that at the time I could not access it any other way than buying it. So when I saw book 16 was on sale, I grabbed it because at some point I will probably end up buying the whole series if I continue not to be able to read it in a way where I'm getting it for free, like via the library or Everand or Kindle Unlimited or something like that. So I was basically filling in a couple of series with my ebook purchases this month. Now on to the physical books. First up is A Gift from Oz, and that is Fireborn. This is a middle grade fantasy. I read this for middle grade March, absolutely loved it, and have praised Oz in pretty much every video where I mention this because it turned out to be a very handy book because it made it onto multiple TBRs in March, and getting this as a gift from Oz really came in clutch and made my life easier. It is the start of a series, so hopefully at some point I will continue on with it. But it is a very interesting, magical series where the kids we follow kind of go on a journey, and there is a magical element involved, and there's also a moving dog that's made of stone. So very much enjoyed this, and once again, thank you Oz for this incredible gift. Then I got Aggie Morton Mystery Queen, The Body Under the Piano. This is a middle grade mystery that follows a girl named Aggie who lives in 1902. She's mourning the death of her beloved father and ends up finding a body under the piano at the Mermaid Dance Room. She makes friends with a Belgian boy named Hector Poirot, and they team up to try to solve the mystery. This is loosely based on Agatha Christie, as Aggie is kind of a stand-in for her, and Hector Poirot is kind of based on Hercule Poirot, which is the main character of one of Agatha's mystery series. I really enjoyed my read of this and would love to continue the series. I thought it was an intriguing little mystery. So money well spent. Then I got The Last Book Wanderer. This is the 6th and final book in the Pages & Co. mystery series. In this series, we follow book wanderers, which are people who have the ability to travel into books and bring their favorite characters out. It's a 6-book series. I've loved every single book. It was a no-brainer to pre-order the 6th and final book. I have since read it. Absolutely loved it. Amazing series. If you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend it. Then I got A Rover's Story. It was one of the top 5 standalones I read last year, and it follows a rover that is headed to Mars named Resilience, who begins to develop feelings. And we see that interspersed with letters that a girl whose mother worked on Resilience is writing to the rover. This was an amazing middle grade sci-fi. I absolutely loved it, so I needed a copy for my shelves. Then this round, I only have one Aaron Hunter book, and that's The Shattered Horn. This is the first book in the Thunder on the Plains arc of the Braveland series. I know zero about this, but I love the first 2 arcs. Aaron Hunter is one of my favorite authors, so there was no way I wasn't going to snag the newest book in their newest series. Then I grabbed The Fable Stables, Willa and the Wisp by Jonathan Auxier. I've read several of his books and enjoyed it. And this is a younger middle grade, maybe even slightly before middle grade story by him. I don't really know much else about it, but my nephew, Ducky, is in that in-between space where He's probably outgrown picture books, but he's not ready to read full-blown like chapter books without illustrations. So when I saw this, I thought it was kind of perfect, and I figured I'd check it out and see if it was something I thought he might like. So I got myself a copy, and if I really like it, I'll keep this from my shelves and get him a different copy. And if I enjoy it but not enough to keep it, I'll just pass it along to him. Next, I got How to Become a Planet by Nicole Melleby. I've read several of Nicole's works and really love them. This one says, sometimes Pluto Timony gets lost in space. The two most important things to know about 13-year-old Pluto. 1, she's always loved outer space, obviously. And 2, her favorite season is summer. The time to go to the boardwalk, visit the planetarium, and work in her mom's pizzeria. This summer is different, though. Pluto has just been diagnosed with depression, and she feels like a black hole is sitting on her chest, making it hard to do anything. When Pluto's dad threatens to make her move in with him, where he believes his money could help her get better, Pluto knows she can't leave behind everything she loves. So she comes up with a plan, complete with a new therapist, new tutor, and new cute friend to do whatever it takes to be her quote-unquote normal self again. This sounds like it's going to be a very interesting read that's going to have some harder topics to cover because depression is never easy, and I'm very curious to see how Pluto's journey kind of goes in this one and what we learn about her and how she deals with her depression. Then I got the Book of the Month edition of The Women by Kristin Hannah. She's one of my favorite authors, so it's no surprise that I snagged this. This is set in Vietnam, and we follow a nurse who is over in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. This was a very hard read. It's not my favorite Kristin Hannah, but it made me cry, like most of them do. And it is definitely one that is difficult to get through because of the subject matter. I feel like I learned a lot while reading it as well because I haven't really read much about the Vietnam War or studied it. So quite the interesting addition to her catalog of books. Like I said, not my favorite, but still a very, very good read. Then I got Aliana, Girl of Dragons by Julie Abe. And this is the kind of prequel to the Eva Evergreen series. And in this one, we're following Aliana, and it's kind of a bit of a twist on, like, Cinderella, and it obviously has a dragon in it. I really enjoyed this addition to the series. I feel like it would have been more interesting if I had read it closer to the books, because I feel like there are probably a lot of Easter eggs in here if I could have remembered more of the details from the Eva Evergreen series, but if I ever want to reread it, I now have a copy for my shelves. Then I grabbed Pax. So this is a historical fiction that follows a boy and his fox. And I believe we're on the eve of World War II, or we're about to be in World War II, or there is a war. Maybe it doesn't say which war. But Peter has been taking care of Pax ever since Pax was a kid, and because of the war, he has to release Pax into the wild. So we see Peter's journey at his grandfather's as he's struggling with his dad being at war and missing his fox. And we see Pax struggling with missing his boy and trying to figure out how to survive in the wild. I absolutely adore this book and its sequel, so I knew at some point I was going to get a copy for my shelves, and now I finally have this, because this is absolutely one I could see myself rereading in the future. Then, last year, Owl Crate Jr. kind of went out of business. They got rid of their middle grade boxes, and in February, they did a giant sale on their boxes where you could get each of their full boxes with the book and all of the special fancy items they were doing in their middle grade boxes for $5. So I snagged a few because it works out really well. I got some of the stuff in the boxes that I wanted to keep, and I have tons of little ones in my life that are kind of hitting that middle grade level, and some of the items are perfect for some of them. But these are the books that I chose to get for myself. The first is Heroes of Eversong, Dragon Boy. I don't know anything about this, but when I read the description, it sounded interesting. So I'm going to mention I might not know tons about these because I was reading the descriptions and deciding which boxes. And I don't want to open them out of their plastic until I have to read them because they're special editions and this keeps everything like nice and safe. So I believe this is a fantastical middle grade, and I am assuming it's going to involve some kind of dragons. Like I said, I know it sounded interesting and hopefully I will enjoy it. Then I got the Owl Crate edition of Greenwild by Perry Thompson. This is a book I read last year, and we follow a young girl who ends up, I believe, going to another world where there's like green thumb, think green thumb magic. And I know this cat is highly involved in the story. I really, really love this book, and I don't know if I'm going to keep this one or I have like the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, or if I just end up keeping them both. But I figured for $5, I might as well snag a copy since I loved the first one so much. Then I grabbed The Kingdom Over the Sea. This is another one I don't really know much about, but there's a blurb on the front that says, I can't stop dreaming of this magnificent magical world. So it sounds like it's going to have a really, really cool world involved in this. And again, I believe middle grade fantasy. Well, it's definitely middle grade, but I'm pretty sure it's a fantasy, and hopefully I love it. It's also perfect for pretty cover if I have a prompt where I need a pretty cover. Then I got The Grace of Wild Things, which is by Heather Fawcett. I've read, Ember and the Ice Dragons by her, and really, really enjoyed it. So I figured I'd snag another book by the author that I will hopefully really love. I, again, don't know anything about it, but I don't want to open it so that I could share the description with you because I'm trying to keep the book safe. But this was another one that I figured, since I really enjoyed the author's work in the past, that I should snag this particular book, which again is a middle grade. Then the last two books came in the same box. This box had an extra book, and that is Ken Jennings Jr. Genius's Guide to Outer Space. So I'm assuming this is going to have all sorts of facts about outer space, which I thought would be interesting, and I could read it and then pass it on to one of the little ones. And the main book of that box was A Rover Story, and yes, I did just mention that. So funnily enough, I had pre-ordered the paperback version of A Rover Story, and it got shipped, and then the sale happened. Story of my life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the fancy Owl Crate edition of this book with like the signed nameplate and stuff, and I'm going to pass this on to one of the little ones because I think it's such an amazing story that I think at some point one of the little ones in my life will really, really love this because it's such a good book. I just need to figure out which one of them it would suit the most, depending on the reading taste. So even though I ended up with 2 copies, I think it's going to work out just fine, and I get the really cool, fancy Owl Crate edition one for my shelves. Next, I grabbed All You Need Is Love by Tanya Guerrero. This is a coming-of-age story about a 12-year-old multiracial Filipino and Spanish girl who goes to live with her grandmother for the summer, gaining confidence through a newly discovered passion for baking. So I think this sounded really interesting. I'm curious to see the journey our main character, Alba, goes on throughout this one. I like that it has a multiracial rep in here because I mentioned in my January haul that I'm trying to be more diverse with the books I'm picking up so that I'm getting tons of different perspectives, whether that be from a racial point of view, a religious point of view, neurodiverse, queer, etc., because I want to find more diversity in my books, especially considering I read a lot of middle grade, and with my young ones, I want to be able to recommend them a diverse group of books so that they're getting a diverse perspective on the world. So this sounds really, really interesting, and I actually really love baking, so I'm curious to see how that plays into this story with Alba. Then I got Winterborn Home for Vengeance and Valor by Allie Carter. I've had my eye on this for a long time. April didn't mean to start the fire. She wasn't the one who broke the vase. April didn't ask to go live in a big creepy mansion with a bunch of orphans who just don't understand that April isn't like them. After all, April's mother is coming back for her someday very soon. All April has to do is find the clues her mother left inside the massive mansion. But Winterborn House is hiding more than one secret, so April and her friends are going to have to work together to unravel the riddle of a missing heir, a creepy legend, and a mysterious key before the only home they've ever known is lost to them forever. So yeah, this one has had my attention for a while now. I'm very interested in the mystery of this one, and we'll see how long it takes me to actually get to it. Then I got the Mistwick School of Musicraft. I thought this seemed really, really cool. I believe I've read something else by Jessica Corey. And of course there's not like a book list. I think it might have been maybe an Aladdin retelling, but don't hold me to that. I thought the music craft was kind of interesting because I figured this book would involve music somehow. It says Amelia Jones has always dreamed of attending the Mistwick School of Musicraft, where the world's most promising musicians learn to create music. But when she messes up her audition, her dream comes to an abrupt and humiliating end until the school agrees to give her a second chance. Amelia is determined to prove herself, vowing to do whatever it takes to become the perfect musician, even if it means pretending to be someone she isn't. Between a teacher who really dislikes her and a roommate who wants to see her expelled, Life at Mistwick is harder than Amelia thought it would be, and that's not even counting the mysterious something that's starting to make the teachers worry. When supernatural powers threaten the school, can Amelia find the courage to be true to herself, save Mistwick, and prove once and for all where she belongs? So yeah, a magical school where music is the way you make magic sounds really, really cool, so hopefully I will love this one. Then I got Just Like That by Gary D. Schmidt. This is a middle grade contemporary, I believe, and we're following Meryl, who arrives at a Maine boarding school haunted by personal loss. Matt Coffin hides out on the coast, attempting to evade a violent criminal. As war rages overseas and young people at home demand change, Meryl and Matt begin to face their demons and make fresh choices, singly, together, and with the help of unexpected friends. Ooh, set in the 60s, in the world of Gary D. Schmidt's award-winning novels, The Wednesday Wars and OK for Now, this timeless story of grief, growth, and change is full of heart and humor. Okay, I'm probably going to have to snag The Wednesday Wars and OK for Now because I'm the type of person that if something is in the same universe and it was released before this one, I'm going to want to read that one first because I hate the idea of spoilers. And to me, if an author wrote book A first, then that's the order they should be read in unless they say otherwise. So I will probably at some point snag them, but I thought it sounded like an interesting story, and we'll see how long it takes me to get to, considering I don't have the other two books at hand at the moment. Then I got Midnight Without Moon by Linda William Jackson. So this is the first book in a series where in January's video I mentioned I bought book 2, but I thought it was book 1, but this is actually book 1. It says, it's Mississippi in the summer of 1955, and 13-year-old Rose Lee Carter can't wait to move north, following in the footsteps of her mama and her aunt. But for now, she's living with Ma, Pearl, and Papa, her grandparents, who are sharecroppers on a cotton plantation. A few towns over, a 14-year-old African-American boy, Emmett Till, is killed for allegedly whistling at a white woman. When the killers are unjustly acquitted, Rose realizes that the South needs a change, and that she should be part of the movement. This sounds absolutely fascinating. I love that it is drawing inspiration from a real story. I don't know if Rose Lee Carter is, but the Emmett Till story is absolutely real. I remember reading about that and just being absolutely horrified at what happened to poor Emmett. And I'm very curious to see how this author draws on that and incorporates that into this story. And yeah, hopefully I will absolutely love it and its sequel when I get to it. Just a few more. This was a much shorter book haul. Then I got The Fairfleet Affair, the A&A Detective Agency. This is a middle grade mystery, and it says follow the clues, solve puzzles, crack the code, find the missing millionaire. So hopefully we can kind of follow along and maybe solve this mystery along with our main characters, who are 12-year-old friends Alex Foster and Asha Singh. So we'll see how this one goes. Then I got The Legend of Auntie Po by Shing Yin Kaur, and this is a graphic novel. It says, in a Sierra Nevada logging camp in 1885, 13-year-old Mai bakes the most delicious pies and tells the best stories about Auntie Po, a gigantic elderly Chinese matriarch who could probably cut even more trees than Paul Bunyan. In the midst of racial tumult following the passage of the Chinese Exclusion Act, Mai tries to remain blissfully focused on her job. Her close friend would be the camp foreman's daughter, and her stories. Until one day, Auntie Po and her giant blue water buffalo, Pai Pai, come to life to help Mai navigate the difficulty and politics of lumber, camp work, and her growing romantic feelings for Bee. An exploration of who gets to own a myth. The Legend of Auntie Po is a hopeful coming-of-age story about how immigrant communities hold on to tradition while staking out their own place in the United States. This sounds absolutely fascinating. I love that it's a graphic novel, and hopefully I will really connect with the story and find this to be as fascinating as it sounds. Then I grabbed The Fall of the House of Tatterley, and this says warning salt, check. Florida water spray, check. Gris Gris bag, check. 12-year-old Theo Tatterley's ability to see ghosts is an extremely useful skill in a house full of family alive and dead. At school and elsewhere, he's a loner, unless you count the spirits constantly pestering him for help. For Theo, life is easier on the sidelines, but after a run-in with a mysterious soul-stealing spirit and the possible, maybe fated destruction of his entire family line, it's clear Theo can't stay benched much longer. He can feel the angry spirit closing in. But Theo Tatterley is nothing if not well-equipped. He's got his snake, Rupert, some dope basketball skills, and as always, his family. Will they be enough to help him sink the shot and put the evil spirits to rest? Author Shanna Miles' story of magical modern-day Charleston crackles with hauntingly unforgettable characters and pays homage to the city's rich culture, folklore, and history. So this seems like it's going to be a great shout for spooky season. It feels like it's going to have a lot of those really, really spooky vibes. And I can't wait to dive into things and see if Theo can find his way out of the situation he's found himself in. And then the last book I hauled in February is A Wolf Called Wander. So this follows Swift, a wild wolf cub who lives with his pack in the mountains. When a rival pack attacks, Swift and his family scatter, and Swift sets out on an incredible journey through dense forests, into barren wilderness, and across flowing water. The trip is dangerous and full of peril, and Swift encounters fire, hunger, hunters, and highways as he wanders. Will Swift find the courage to survive? Will he ever find a place to call home? I obviously love an animal POV, and I think my favorite part about this book and what drew me to it was A Wolf Called Wander is based on the extraordinary, true story of a wolf named OR7 and often called Journey, a wild wolf who traveled a remarkable 1,000 miles across the Pacific Northwest. So I feel like this is probably going to have a lot of really good information in it, since it is based on a real wolf and a journey a real wolf took. Again, I love me an animal POV, so I'm really, really hoping that I connect with Swift and that I, enjoy his story. And we have some illustrations, which is also really, really cool. So very much looking forward to checking this one out. And there you have it. That is my February book haul. Like I said, slightly less than January, which is good, but I still bought quite a few books. Hopefully I get to them all in a timely manner. In the comment section below, let me know which of these books you would like me to read and give you my thoughts on most. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me book emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!